This is the true story of the Donner Party.
December 1846. The Sierra Nevada mountains are silent. Not peaceful, not beautiful, silent. Because everything that could move is dying. The snow is more than 20 feet deep in places. Frozen pine trees groan beneath the crushing weight of winter. The wind howls through the mountains like a living thing. And inside a crude wooden cabin, a mother stares at her children. Their faces are hollow, their lips are cracked. Their eyes no longer look like children's eyes. For days, they have eaten nothing. No bread, no meat, no hope. Only snow, only hunger, only the terrible realization that nobody is coming. Outside, another storm buries the wilderness beneath a fresh blanket of ice. Inside, a question hangs in the freezing air. A question so horrifying that no human being ever wants to ask it. How far would you go to survive? Would you steal? Would you abandon others? Would you watch your friends die? Would you eat the dead? Because in these mountains, hundreds of miles from help, trapped by one of the worst winters in American history, a group of ordinary families would be forced to confront the unimaginable. This is not a legend. This is not a horror movie. This happened. This is the story of the Donner Party. And it remains one of the most terrifying survival stories ever recorded. America in the 1840s was a nation obsessed with the West. Across the country, thousands of people believed in a powerful idea known as manifest destiny. The belief was simple. America was destined to stretch from the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific. The West represented opportunity, land, freedom, wealth, a fresh beginning. Newspapers painted pictures of paradise beyond the mountains, fertile farmland, mild climates, a future waiting to be claimed. Families sold everything they owned, homes, businesses, farms. They packed their belongings into covered wagons and began journeys that would change their lives forever. Among them were the Donner and Reed families. They were not reckless adventurers. They were ordinary people. Mothers, fathers, children, grandparents, dreamers, people searching for something better. In the spring of 1846, approximately 87 immigrants gathered into a wagon train headed toward California. Many were successful back east. James Reed was a prosperous businessman from Illinois. George Donner was a respected farmer. His brother Jacob Donner joined the expedition as well. They believed they were building a brighter future. None of them knew they were walking toward disaster. The journey west was already dangerous. Thousands of miles of wilderness, disease, accidents, river crossings, hostile terrain. But most wagon trains completed the trip successfully. The key was timing. Travelers needed to cross the Sierra Nevada before winter arrived. If they failed, the mountains could become a prison, a frozen tomb, and the clock was already ticking. At first, everything seemed normal. The wagon train rolled across endless prairies. Oxen pulled heavy wagons through tall grass. Children played near campfires. Families sang songs beneath star-filled skies. The future looked bright. Then came a decision, a single decision, one choice that would change everything. The immigrants learned of a new route called Hastings Cutoff. Promoted by Lansford Hastings, the route supposedly offered a shortcut to California. The promise was irresistible. Who wouldn't want to save weeks of travel? But there was a problem. Very few people had actually traveled it. Even Hastings himself had barely tested the route. Experienced travelers warned against it. Some begged the wagon train not to take the shortcut. The route was dangerous, uncertain, risky, but hope can be blinding. The shortcut promised a faster future, and so many of the families followed it. The consequences were immediate. The trail was far worse than advertised. Instead of saving time, it cost precious weeks. Wagons became trapped among dense forests. Men spent exhausting days chopping paths through trees. Oxen collapsed. Supplies dwindled. Morale deteriorated. Then came the Great Salt Lake Desert, a vast, brutal wasteland. No water, no shade, no escape. Families crossed beneath a merciless sun. Animals died. Wagons broke down. People suffered from dehydration. One traveler later described the desert as a place where death seemed to wait behind every horizon. When they finally emerged, they had lost valuable time they could never recover. And winter was approaching. By October 1846, the wagon train was desperately behind schedule. The Sierra Nevada mountains loomed ahead. Towering, beautiful, deadly. The emigrants pushed harder. Every day mattered. Every mile mattered. If they could cross before heavy snow arrived, they might survive. Then, on October 31st, disaster struck. Snow began falling. At first, it seemed manageable. A temporary obstacle, nothing more. The travelers continued forward, but the storm intensified. The snow deepened. Roads vanished. Trails disappeared beneath white drifts. Animals struggled to move. Wagons became trapped. Then another storm arrived, and another. Within days, enormous snowfalls blocked the mountain passes. The emigrants were trapped, completely trapped. The realization spread through the camps like poison. California was only about 100 miles away. 100 miles. Close enough to dream about, far enough to die trying. Panic began replacing hope. Families desperately searched for solutions. Some believed rescue would come. Others feared the truth. Nobody knew they were stranded. Nobody knew where they were. Nobody knew they needed help. Winter had slammed the door shut, and behind that door, nearly 90 people were trapped. The first weeks were difficult. The following months became a nightmare. The immigrants built crude shelters around what is now known as Donner Lake. Tiny cabins, makeshift tents, rough lean-tos. They were poorly prepared for mountain winter. Snow accumulated relentlessly. Storm after storm battered the camps. Temperatures plunged. Visibility disappeared. The world became white. Endless white. Food supplies vanished quickly. Oxen were slaughtered. Then horses. Then dogs. Then animal hides. People boiled leather. They chewed rawhide strips for hours. Anything that could be swallowed became food. Children cried themselves to sleep from hunger. Parents listened helplessly. Imagine that sound, the weak voice of your starving child asking for food, and having nothing to give. Days turned into weeks. Weeks became months. The starvation transformed everyone. Faces became skeletal. Bodies weakened. Minds deteriorated. Arguments erupted. Despair spread. Death became common. One by one, people began dying. Some froze. Others succumbed to starvation. Disease swept through the camps. The survivors watched loved ones disappear. There was no proper burial. The ground was frozen solid. Corpses remained among the living, a constant reminder of what awaited them all. The mountain prison was tightening, and the worst was yet to come. As conditions worsened, a desperate plan emerged. If help would not come, they would go find it. In December 1846, a group of 17 volunteers left the camps. Their mission was nearly impossible. Cross the snow-covered mountains, reach California, bring back rescuers. History remembers them as the Forlorn Hope. The name was painfully accurate. The group included men, women, and teenagers. They strapped crude snowshoes to their feet, then entered the wilderness. Immediately, they encountered unimaginable suffering. Snow reached incredible depths. Blizzards erased landmarks. Food disappeared. Exhaustion consumed them. People collapsed while walking. Some never stood again. Soon starvation returned, more vicious than ever. Members of the group began dying. The survivors faced a horrifying reality. Without food, Everyone would perish. Then came the moment that would define the Donner Party forever. The dead became food. The decision was not immediate, nor casual. It emerged from desperation beyond comprehension. The survivors consumed the bodies of those who had already died. Many wept while doing it. Some prayed. Others could barely speak. One survivor later described the act as the most terrible experience imaginable. Yet it allowed them to continue, day after agonizing day, across frozen mountains, through endless storms. Eventually, after extraordinary suffering, a handful reached California. They looked like ghosts, starved, frozen, broken, but alive. And they carried shocking news. Dozens of people remained trapped in the mountains. Time was running out. Rescue parties immediately organized. But reaching the camps would prove nearly as dangerous as surviving inside them. The first rescue party entered the mountains in February 1847. Even experienced rescuers struggled against the snow. The conditions were catastrophic. When they finally reached the camps, what they found horrified them. Starving children, emaciated adults, people barely capable of standing. The rescuers brought food. Hope returned for the first time in months. But there was a terrible problem. They could not evacuate everyone. Not enough strength, not enough supplies, not enough time. Choices had to be made. Who would leave? Who would stay? Imagine being forced to choose between starving children. Imagine deciding whose life might be saved. The first rescue group departed with a portion of the survivors. Others remained behind, watching them leave, praying they would return. Some never saw those rescuers again. Additional rescue parties followed. Each journey became a battle against weather and terrain. More survivors were evacuated. More bodies were discovered. And each expedition revealed new horrors. One rescuer described cabins filled with starvation and despair. People reduced to shadows of themselves. Human beings pushed beyond every known limit. Yet many continued fighting. Many continued protecting others. Mothers shared their last food with children. Older siblings carried younger ones. Strangers risked their lives for neighbors. Even amid unimaginable suffering, acts of courage persisted. Humanity survived alongside horror. The Donner families themselves faced especially terrible circumstances. George Donner suffered a severe hand injury before winter trapped them. The wound became infected. As conditions worsened, he grew weaker. His wife, Tamsin Donner, became one of the most remarkable figures in the entire tragedy. Again and again, opportunities arose for her to leave. She refused. She would not abandon her husband. Even as starvation closed in, even as rescue parties urged her to save herself, even when survival seemed impossible, she stayed. History cannot know her exact thoughts, but witnesses remembered her loyalty, her devotion, her courage. George Donner eventually died. Tamsin remained behind. She never escaped the mountains. Her final days remain among the most haunting mysteries of the disaster. When rescuers later arrived, they discovered evidence suggesting that many of the remaining survivors had resorted to cannibalism. The details shocked America. Newspapers seized upon the gruesome story. Headlines focused on horror, on sensationalism, on the eating of human flesh. But those headlines often ignored something important. The victims were not monsters. They were ordinary people, trapped in extraordinary circumstances. People who endured suffering almost impossible to imagine. People facing choices most of us will never confront. By the time the final rescue party completed its mission in the spring of 1847, the tragedy's scale became clear. Of the approximately 87 emigrants who entered the mountains, only 48 survived. Nearly half had died. The survivors carried more than physical scars. Many suffered lifelong psychological trauma, nightmares, grief, guilt, memories that never faded. Children who survived lost parents. Parents lost children. Entire families vanished. Those who reached California were forever changed. Some rarely spoke about the experience. Others spent years defending themselves against public judgment. Because once the story spread across America, people became fascinated by one question: cannibalism. Many wanted simple answers. Heroes, villains, good, evil. Reality was far more complicated. Survival situations destroy ordinary rules. The Donner Party existed in a world beyond normal human experience. A world of starvation, freezing temperatures, and isolation. A world where death stood beside every campfire. Judging those decisions from the comfort of modern life is easy. Understanding them is much harder. Today, the Sierra Nevada mountains remain breathtakingly beautiful. Millions pass through the region every year. Most never imagine the suffering that once unfolded there. Yet the story of the Donner Party endures. Not because of cannibalism, not because of shock value, but because it reveals something profound about human nature. The disaster exposed both the best and worst of humanity. Poor decisions contributed to the tragedy. Overconfidence played a role. Warnings were ignored. But alongside those mistakes came extraordinary courage. Parents sacrificed for children. Friends helped friends. Rescuers risked their lives repeatedly. People endured suffering beyond what seemed possible. The story also serves as a warning. Nature does not negotiate. It does not care about dreams. It does not care about plans. The mountains offered countless warnings. The emigrants simply ran out of time. And once winter arrived, the mountains became judge, jury, and executioner. On a cold winter night, imagine standing beside Donner Lake. The wind moves through the trees. Snow falls softly across the mountains. Everything appears peaceful. Yet beneath that silence lies one of America's darkest survival stories. Families chasing hope. Children dreaming of a new life. Parents willing to risk everything for a better future. And a winter so brutal that it shattered those dreams. The Donner Party was not simply a tragedy. It was a test. A test of endurance. A test of courage. A test of what happens when human beings are pushed beyond every limit. Some failed. Some triumphed. Most existed somewhere in between. Because survival is rarely clean, rarely simple, and rarely heroic in the way stories often portray. The survivors carried their memories for the rest of their lives. The dead remained forever in the mountains. And generations later, we still ask the same haunting question. What would we have done? Would we have survived? Or would the snow have claimed us too? That question echoes across nearly 2 centuries of history. A reminder that civilization can be frighteningly thin. A reminder that courage can emerge in the darkest moments. And a reminder that some stories refuse to die, because they reveal who we truly are. If this story moved you, if it made you think, and if you want more powerful true stories from history's darkest and most extraordinary moments, make sure you subscribe to Real Story Network, turn on notifications, and join us for our next journey into the real events that shaped our world. Because history is not just about the past. History is about people. And every person has a story worth remembering. This was the Donner Party, America's most terrifying survival story.